Today we're making what we call good boy cookies. They're dog treats, and again, this is a recipe I came up with because my dog can't have commercial treats, so it's kind of you can adjust as you want. I use a mix of flours. I use about 3 cups of white flour and 3 cups of wheat flour. Sometimes I'll vary and add a little rye flour as well. This doesn't really have to be exact. Sometimes I add a little more and make a larger batch, and sometimes I add a little less. I usually add a good heaping tablespoon, sometimes 2, of parsley. That's good for the breath, and my dog can use it. And we add some garlic powder. From everything I've read, it helps to repel fleas. And I add just a little pinch of baking powder. You don't really have to add that, but it makes them rise just a little bit. And then I'm going to add a couple eggs. And for the moisture, I use beef broth. It's probably around a cup and a half for this amount of flour. It's just to make the dough come together. You have to kind of judge it by how your flour is by that day. And preferably beef broth with no MSG in it. And I just add until we get a dough that will come together. Sometimes I just use bouillon and add hot water to it, but whatever you've got. If you want, you can add a little finely grated cheese to this. Our dog can't have that, so I don't add cheese, but dogs do like that as well. And it'll probably get to a point where you're going to have to kind of mix with your hands to get it to all come in together. And if you get it too wet, you can always add a little extra flour to dry it out, or whatever you need to do. And you just kind of knead it all together. And what you want is the consistency what you would get with like if you were going to do a rolled cookie dough, because that's basically what you're going to do with this. Is we're going to roll it out. We have a little dog bone shape cutter that we use. You can cut it into squares. You can pretty much do anything you want. We just happen to find a little cookie cutter in the dog bone shape that we use. I take about half the dough, and you want to flour well your rolling surface. Shape the dough into a ball, and we're just going to kind of roll it out. You can make these as thick or as thin as you like them. And yeah, I just kind of keep flouring and turning and so we get it rolled out. It takes a little bit. The dough's a little resistant to rolling. And I can never do this without making a mess. And you can roll them out pretty thin. They're probably less than a 1/4 inch thick. I've got them here. And then just cut them out into your shapes that you want. A word there that there is nothing in here that is not edible, if worse came to worse. And I've not found a dog that doesn't love these, so they must taste pretty good. I'm sure you can also use chicken broth if you'd rather than the beef broth, but I think the dogs seem to really like the beef broth better. And you just continue on cutting them all out. We're going to preheat the oven to about 275, and we'll bake them 30 minutes and then turn them all over and bake them another 30 minutes. You want them pretty dry. They will firm up a little bit more as they cool, but you want them fairly hard when you take them out of the oven. Otherwise they won't keep well. When they're thoroughly dry, they will keep at room temperature. Usually when I make a big batch like this, we freeze half of them just to keep them fresh, but they will keep at room temperature for quite a while. Now they're all cut out, so you can just put them out on the cookie sheet, and you can put them pretty close because they will not spread at all. So you can just, and all this little scrap around the edge, I just re-roll and cut it out again, and everything gets used. There's no waste. And I just gather up all the scraps, and we'll add this to the rest of the dough that's left and knead it in, and we'll roll out the next batch. And as I said, you can really put them close together because they don't spread. I've got 7 dozen on this one cookie sheet, so we've got a total of about 14 dozen out of that batch. Ours are about 2 inches long, those cookie cutters, the bone shape. So it really depends on how thick and how large you make them. And as I said, we'll bake both trays 30 minutes and then flip all those bones over and bake them another 30. And I rotate the cookie sheets at the 30 minutes from top to bottom. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, so we're gonna flip the first ones over. And the easiest way is to just use your fingers. And they are a little warm, so. Okay, so they're all flipped. I'm gonna pull out the second tray and flip them, and we're gonna rotate the sheets top to bottom. You can do this without losing them all off the tray. They do slide easily, so. And then we'll just flip this tray over and put them back in for another. Let's give them a check here. And what you want to check for is to see if they're firm, and they are. So they're done. And we'll pull out the other tray. Check them. You want to check the thickest ones. They can have a little bit of give to them, but they should be pretty hard. And they're done. And they're hot. So we'll just slide them off onto the cooling rack and let them cool off and package them up.
What have we got? We got treats? Huh?
Cookies? He knows what they are. And once they're cool, we'll do a little dance just to get one. Good boy.